All right, let's dive into the world of confident communication with this deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
We're tackling confident communication, 10 ways for leaders to communicate effectively.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I think our listeners are going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much good stuff in this book.
And it really hit me. Like, one of the first things it talks about is how to, shift from being an expert to a leader.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough to just know your stuff.
Right,
You've
exactly.
got to be able to actually convey that knowledge to other people in a way that gets them excited and
Totally, inspires them.
inspires them, yeah.
I mean, that's something I think so many professionals struggle with. They have the expertise, but they haven't quite figured out how to articulate it in a way that actually engages people and influences decisions and all that.
Yeah, and the book is this great example about a tech executive
Oh, yeah.
who was brilliant,
Yes.
but he would just get so bogged down in the jargon.
In the weeds, yeah.
And so they ended up having to bring in a coach for him
And what did the coach do?
to help him basically reframe his message.
Yeah.
Like how to make it more about the core idea and less about all the little details.
It's all about clarity, isn't it? And I bet a lot of our listeners can relate to that.
Oh, I know I can. Especially when I first started doing keynotes. It was like,
Oh, really?
I thought more was more. Like, pack it all in.
Cram every detail in there.
Yeah, every single detail.
But see, that's where respecting your audience's time comes in. Because we live in this world where everyone's attention span is shrinking.
That's true.
And it's like that ability to be concise,
Yes.
distill it down to its most potent form.
Right, yes.
That's what makes a leader's message actually stand out.
Totally. And I will say, mastering that has allowed me to
Oh, tell me.
give shorter, more impactful talks now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And speaking of mastering communication, one of the things the book really dive into is, let's hear it.
This idea of owning the silence.
I love that.
You know how we always feel this urge to fill every pause?
It's like we're terrified of silence.
Yeah, with an or a.
Totally.
But the book's saying that, actually silence can be really powerful.
Oh, it absolutely can.
It can make your words more impactful.
So true.
It gives you and the listener that moment to process.
To breathe,
Yeah, almost like a power move in a way.
Yeah, think about it.
Like, characters like Tommy Shelby in Peaky Blinders.
Oh, that's such a good example.
He just commands attention.
With every word.
And it's partly because he's not afraid of that silence.
You know where else you see it? Like high-stakes interviews or like tense negotiations.
Okay.
That well-placed silence can really
It throws them off.
yeah, it puts the pressure on, right?
Yeah.
So they might say more than they intended.
It's like a strategy almost.
Absolutely.
But silence is just one element.
Of this kind of formula that the book lays out.
Oh, okay. What's the formula?
They call it the 4 C's.
All right, I'm listening.
Clarity, concision,
Makes sense.
curiosity,
Oh, interesting.
and candor.
Now we're talking.
So clarity and concision, we kind of already touched on those.
Okay, so let's dig into the other two.
But curiosity, it's more than just asking questions.
Oh, I see.
It's about that genuine desire to understand.
That could be genuine, right?
Yeah, to dig deeper.
Like you're truly interested.
Mm-hmm. And I remember once I was interviewing this really high-ranking official, and out of just pure curiosity, I went off script.
You're at Rogue.
And it led to these incredible insights that I never would have gotten from my prepared questions.
Wow, so curiosity really pays off.
It really does. And then candor.
Okay. Yeah, that one can be tricky.
It's about being upfront, even about setbacks.
Even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and it might seem counterintuitive,
Right.
but it actually builds trust.
Because it shows you're being real.
Like when I was leading a team,
Yeah.
we were facing some challenges, and just being open about it actually brought us closer together.
It's that vulnerability, right? That realness.
Yes.
That makes people feel like they can trust you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got our 4 C's. What's next?
Well, the book also talks about storytelling,
I love a good story.
but not just random anecdotes.
Okay.
It's about purposeful storytelling.
I like that.
Like every story should support your message.
It's got to have a point.
Yeah. There's this framework they use called what, so what now?
Okay, break that down for me.
So you explain what happened, then why it matters, and then the key part is what action should be taken.
The what now?
That's what brings it all back to your message.
So you're not just telling stories for the sake of telling stories.
Right.
It's all connected.
It's funny, like
What?
You think about politicians,
Go on.
and I'm not saying I agree with their politics,
Of course.
but like figures like Boris Johnson or Donald Trump,
Okay. Yeah.
they're masters at using storytelling to get their message across.
They know how to capture an audience.
So whether you're giving a presentation or trying to get buy-in on an idea, that what now?
Yeah.
It makes all the difference.
It's what makes it stick.
Yeah. And speaking of making things stick, the book also talks about active listening.
Oh, that's a big one.
They actually call it listening to lead.
Listening to lead.
Yeah. It's about truly absorbing what someone is saying.
Not just hearing the words, but really understanding.
Exactly. And it's something that I think a lot of people
Overlook.
Yeah.
Because we're so focused on what we're going to say next.
Mm-hmm. And the book is this really simple tip.
Oh, I love simple tips.
It's to pick up on keywords that the other person is using and then use those same words in your response.
Oh, that's clever.
It shows that you're truly engaged.
You're not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Right.
Like you're really paying attention.
And it's so basic,
Yeah.
but it makes a big difference.
Subtle, but powerful.
Totally. Like, think about those skilled interviewers on late night talk shows.
Oh, yeah.
They do that all the time.
They weave the guests' words into their own responses.
And then you see, like, politicians who just...
Get stuck in their talking points.
Yeah.
Missing those opportunities to really connect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of words and the power of silence.
Yeah.
What about the things we don't say?
Oh, like body language?
Exactly, our nonverbal cues.
Yeah. It's amazing how much that influences how people see us.
It's like a whole other language.
Our posture, our gestures, even our facial expressions.
They all send a message.
Sometimes even louder than our words.
It's true.
You know, I learned this the hard way back when I was doing theater.
Oh, tell me about it.
My director called me out once because I was being too stiff during this monologue. And it was such a light bulb moment.
What did you realize?
Like, my rigid body language was totally undermining the emotion I was trying to convey.
Wow, that's so insightful.
It's something we often do subconsciously.
Yeah.
And this goes way beyond just the stage.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about, like, political figures.
Okay.
Like, how much do President Biden's physical struggles affect how people see his leadership?
That's a really interesting example.
Yeah, so the book really stresses the importance of being intentional with our nonverbal cues.
It's like anything else. You got to practice and be aware.
Hmm?
All right, so what else is in this book? I'm really intrigued now.
Well, there's this concept they call context for connection.
Context for connection.
It's basically the idea that you wouldn't, address a boardroom the same way you chat with friends.
Right. Different situations call for different approaches.
Exactly. And it's about understanding your audience.
Their background, their expectations.
And tailoring your message accordingly.
That's why you always ask about the audience before a speech, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You want to know who you're talking to.
Yeah. Helps me figure out how to connect with them authentically.
And that's a challenge for politicians too, right?
Oh, big time.
Like trying to connect with voters from all these different walks of life.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
So context is key.
Definitely.
Okay, I'm ready for the next big idea.
Well, the book's next point is all about simplifying.
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 I like the sound of that.
It's about cutting through the noise and delivering your message with laser focus.
Less is more.
Exactly. Like, think about Steve Jobs and the launch of the iPod.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't bog people down with all the technical specs.
Nope.
Just one clear message. 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Brilliant.
So powerful. And then it talks about emotionally intelligent communication.
Okay, that's a hot topic these days.
It is. And the book really stresses that it's not just about understanding your emotions. It's also about being able to read the emotions of others.
Empathy.
Yes, like think about how CEOs handle layoffs.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
You can tell the difference between those who approach it with empathy and those who just treat it like a transaction.
It's all about recognizing that there are human beings on the other side of those decisions.
Totally. And then finally, the book talks about the feedback loop.
Feedback is crucial, isn't it?
It is. It applies to all types of communication.
Yeah, whether you're giving a speech or writing an email, you need feedback to improve.
And the book emphasizes that it's a two-way street.
Give and take.
Yeah, like I use feedback loops all the time.
Oh, really?
Before I publish an article, I send it to a few people for their input.
That's a smart strategy.
And it helps me catch things I might have missed.
And it makes the final product that much stronger.
Absolutely. And it's about creating this culture of open communication.
Where everyone feels comfortable sharing their thoughts.
And that's where emotional intelligence comes in again, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like making sure the feedback is delivered and received in a way that's constructive.
Yeah, it's not about tearing people down.
Right.
It's about helping them grow.
Well said.
Okay, so that's the 10 principles.
Yeah, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
There's more.
Oh, yeah, we've got a lot more to unpack.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into confident communication.
I'm ready for more.
I thought there were a couple more things in the book that I really wanted to touch on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what else stuck out to you?
Well, one thing that the author kept coming back to was this idea of, like, the value of communication.
Okay.
Like, it's not just about getting your point across.
Mm-hmm.
It's about driving change.
Oh,
Forging connections, like achieving success.
it's like the foundation of everything.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads to another point, which is that
Okay.
effective communication, it's a skill.
Okay.
It's not a talent.
Right.
It's something that you can cultivate.
You can learn it.
You can learn it,
Yeah.
and you can get better at it with practice.
I think that's really encouraging for people to hear because sometimes I think people think,
Ah.
I'm just not a natural communicator.
Totally.
So why bother? But you're saying like,
And the book really drives this point home that, like,
mhm.
anyone can become a confident communicator
Yeah,
if they put in the work,
the effort.
the effort. Exactly.
So it's not about like some magical natural talent that some people have and others don't.
Right.
It's about,
It's a skill you can develop.
okay.
Yeah, and another thing that the author had a really interesting take on
What's that?
was confidence.
Okay.
Like, they were arguing that feeling confident
Mhm.
in yourself overall,
Yeah.
like just generally feeling confident,
Okay.
like that spills over into how you communicate.
So it's not just about like faking it till you make it when it comes to communication.
Well, I mean, there's some truth to that, right?
Okay.
Like things like power posing. Yeah.
Or positive self-talk, those can be helpful.
Okay.
But like true confidence,
Mm-hmm.
it comes from a deeper place.
So like a genuine sense of self.
Yes, like a self-assuredness
Okay.
that permeates everything you do.
I like that.
Yeah, and that self-assurance, it
Mhm.
can come from, pursuing your passions, like personal growth, things like that.
So it's really a holistic.
It is.
Like, it's not just about techniques and strategies.
That's
it's
about-
who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And the author also talked about how to handle those moments when you
Yes.
you stumble, you make a mistake.
We've all been there.
Oh, for
That cringeworthy slip up or like,
yeah, the brain freeze moment.
oh yeah,
But
it happens.
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
And the author's point was that like
Mm-hmm.
instead of viewing those as like failures,
Yeah.
view them as learning opportunities.
Ooh, I like that. Like, what went wrong?
Yeah.
Adjust your approach
Right.
and move forward.
Okay, yeah. So it's about embracing those imperfections as part of it.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about continuous improvement.
I think that's really important because I know I personally tend to beat myself up over mistakes.
Oh yeah, we all do.
But if you can shift your perspective to like,
Yeah.
okay, this is just a chance for me to learn and grow,
Totally.
it makes it less about perfection and more about like,
Progress.
yeah, progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And that kind of ties into a larger theme that was woven throughout the book,
Okay.
which is this idea that confident communication is a journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a destination.
So you never really arrive.
You don't just like reach this point and you're like, I'm a confident communicator. It's a process of growth and evolution.
Yeah.
And, that's something that the author really underscored in the last section of the book,
Okay.
where they were talking about the importance of finding support and guidance.
Oh, interesting.
Like, they even encouraged readers to reach out to them directly
Wow.
for coaching or mentorship.
That's really putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it shows a real commitment to helping people
Mm-hmm.
grow.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point because we often think of these skills as something we should just be able to figure out on our own.
Right. Like, we should just know how to do it.
Yeah.
But having a mentor, having a coach
Mm-hmm.
can provide such valuable feedback.
Yeah, it's like having someone in your corner,
Yeah, like a guide,
a guide. Yeah.
someone to help you along the way.
And that brings us back to the importance of feedback.
The feedback loop.
Yeah, which we talked about earlier.
It's so crucial.
But I think it's worth emphasizing because I know for a lot of people, asking for feedback can be really intimidating.
Oh, for sure. Especially if you're worried about getting negative feedback.
Yeah.
But, the author really encouraged us to to embrace feedback.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's uncomfortable, yeah.
Because it's a valuable tool.
Yeah, for growth.
Yeah.
And remember, it's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we should be as willing to offer feedback
to others
as we are to receive it.
It's about creating that culture of open communication.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in again.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you want to make sure that both the delivery and the reception of the feedback is done in a way that's constructive.
Right.
You know, it's not about being mean.
Yeah.
It's about helping people improve.
I want to bring up something that wasn't really just in the book, but I think is really important.
Okay, what's that?
And that's authenticity.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think being authentic in how we communicate is so important.
Absolutely.
It's about, being true to yourself.
Your values.
The values, your unique style. Yeah, like not trying to fit into some mold of what you think a confident communicator should be.
Right, exactly.
And the book provides all these great frameworks and techniques, but at the end of the day, confident communication is not one size fits all.
Yeah, we each have to find our own voice.
Exactly.
Works for one person might not work for another.
And that's what makes it so interesting, right? Like, it's an art form, not a science. There's no one right way to do it.
So it's about experimenting and figuring out what feels right for you.
Absolutely. And, speaking of respecting your audience's time, we talked about that earlier with the power of precision.
Yeah.
Valuing their attention, making sure every word you say has a purpose.
It's a sign of respect.
It is. And especially in this world where we're just bombarded with information all the time, being concise, getting to the point, it's more important than ever.
It's about, like, not wasting their time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that translates into credibility and trust. People are more likely to listen to you when you're known for being clear and concise.
Yeah, you're not wasting their time.
You're a good steward of their attention.
So let's dive a little deeper into nonverbal communication.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Body language, I think.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It really is. It speaks volumes.
Yeah, our facial expressions.
Posture, gestures.
Tone of voice.
All of it.
Yeah, they all convey meaning, and they really shape how people see us.
Sometimes even more than our words.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You can say, I'm fine with a smile, but if your body language is screaming stress,
right,
people aren't going to believe you.
And they're going to see right through it.
Yeah.
Our nonverbal communication can really betray us.
Totally. So being aware of our nonverbal cues and making sure that they align with our intended message is crucial.
It's all about alignment.
Yeah, and the book touched on this a little bit.
Right.
It talked about, having an open and approachable posture.
Avoiding those closed-off stances.
Yeah, like crossing your arms.
Yeah, or like hunching over.
It's about conveying confidence and receptiveness.
Making people feel comfortable.
Yeah, but it's not just about what we project.
Right.
It's also about how we interpret the nonverbal cues of others.
That's where active listening comes in.
Paying attention to those subtle signals.
Like, are they leaning in? Are they making eye contact? Are they nodding?
Or are they fidgeting and looking away?
Those cues can tell us a lot.
Yeah, it's like reading the room.
It is. It's like sensing the energy and being able to adjust your approach accordingly.
And that ties back to emotional intelligence.
Which we've talked about a lot today.
Yeah.
Being able to recognize and understand the emotions behind those nonverbal cues. It's so important.
Like, for example, if someone is showing signs of anger or frustration through their body language, we need to be able to pick up on that.
And respond in a way that de-escalates the situation.
Right.
It's about being sensitive to the emotional landscape of the conversation.
Yeah, let's zoom in on one specific nonverbal cue.
Okay.
Eye contact.
Ooh, eye contact, yeah.
It's so powerful.
It can be so intense.
It can convey confidence, connection, trustworthiness, but it can also be like intimidating.
If it's not used appropriately.
If it's too much.
Yeah, too much eye contact can be creepy.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance.
Right.
That feels natural.
And authentic, like a dance almost.
Yeah.
You make eye contact, you hold it for a moment, you break the gaze, and then you repeat.
Yeah, it's a rhythm.
It is. It's a subtle rhythm.
And it's important to remember that different cultures have different norms around eye contact.
What's considered polite in one culture can be considered rude in another.
So being sensitive to those cultural nuances is really important.
Especially when you're communicating with people from different backgrounds.
Okay, let's shift gears back to storytelling.
More stories. I love it.
We've talked about the power of storytelling, the purpose of storytelling, the different types of stories.
Yeah.
And we've touched on, personal anecdotes.
Yeah.
How those can be really effective for building trust. But I think it's worth highlighting a specific category of story
Oh, okay.
that can be really powerful.
I'm listening.
And that's stories of overcoming challenges.
Oh, yeah. Those are the best.
I think they resonate so deeply with people.
Because we all face challenges.
Because we've all been there.
Yeah.
We all know what it's like to struggle.
To face adversity.
And to come out stronger on the other side.
They're so inspiring.
They are. They remind us that we're not alone.
That even when things are tough, there's hope.
I mean, think about some of the most captivating movies, books, speeches. They often revolve around a character overcoming some seemingly impossible obstacle.
It's that element of resilience that really grabs us.
And when we share these stories, it's important to focus not just on the challenge itself,
right,
but on the lessons learned.
The growth that came out of it.
Yeah, it's not just about the what, it's about the so what.
Exactly. What did you learn from this experience?
Yeah, and I think by framing those stories in that way, we can really transform them from just anecdotes into
powerful tools for growth and inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about overcoming challenges, but what about difficult conversations in general?
Ooh, yeah.
Like, those are inevitable, right?
They are.
Whether it's addressing a conflict at work, delivering bad news, having a tough conversation with a loved one.
Those are hard.
They are. And the book doesn't specifically address difficult conversations.
Okay.
But a lot of the principles still apply.
Like what?
Well, clarity is super important.
Right, so you need to be clear about your message.
Avoid ambiguity.
Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
Be direct, but not aggressive.
Okay, so choose your words carefully.
Very carefully.
Yeah.
And emotional intelligence, again, so important.
Right, being able to manage your own emotions and being sensitive to the emotions of the other person, that can really help keep the conversation calm and productive.
It's about listening empathetically, acknowledging their perspective, and looking for common ground.
And sometimes just acknowledging the other person's feelings can really help.
Can really de-escalate things.
Yeah, and one technique that can be really helpful in these situations is the use of I statements.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that before.
We did, but it's worth repeating because it's so effective.
Remind us what they are.
So instead of saying, you're always late, you can say, I feel frustrated when I have to wait.
It takes the blame out of it.
It does. And it shifts the focus from blame to your own experience.
Yeah. And it can also be helpful for setting boundaries and communicating your needs in a way that's clear.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so let's talk about confident communication in the digital age.
Oh.
Because, we live in a world where emails, texts, social media posts, online articles.
It's a lot.
It is. So being able to write effectively has never been more important.
Absolutely. And a lot of the same principles apply.
They do.
Clarity is key. Your writing should be easy to understand.
Avoid jargon.
Yeah.
Concision is also important.
People have short attention spans.
They do.
Get to the point.
Don't bury the lead.
Yeah. And don't forget about tone.
Oh, yeah.
Just like with spoken communication.
It's your tone of voice.
Tone of voice can really come through in your writing. And be mindful of your audience.
Yeah, who are you writing to?
Who are you writing to? What's their level of understanding?
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of persuasion.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that. It's a valuable skill.
It is. It's the art of influencing others to see your point of view or to take a specific action.
Yeah.
And while the book didn't specifically focus on persuasion, a lot of the principles apply.
Like what?
Well, for example, building rapport.
Okay.
Establishing credibility.
Yeah, people are more likely to listen to someone they trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that trust can be built through clear communication, active listening, showing empathy.
Right, like understanding their perspective, really showing that you care.
Exactly.
And we talked about storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
A well-crafted story can be very persuasive.
Because it evokes emotion. It makes your message more memorable.
Yeah.
And when you're crafting a persuasive argument, it's important to appeal to both logic and emotion.
So present the facts and the data,
Yeah.
but also connect with people on an emotional level.
Make them feel something.
Yeah, and another really effective persuasion technique.
What's that? Is social proof.
Social proof. Oh, I like that one.
You know, the idea that we're more likely to do something if we see other people doing it.
Oh, yeah, like online reviews, testimonials, endorsements.
Yeah, like if a restaurant has a bunch of 5-star reviews, you're more likely to try it.
We're social creatures.
Yeah, we like to follow the crowd.
We want to know what other people are doing.
Okay, let's circle back to nonverbal communication for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about some of the basics, but I think there's always more to explore.
It's a fascinating topic.
It is, and I think it's something that we often underestimate.
Yeah, we're often not even aware of our own nonverbal cues.
Yeah, so like our facial expressions, our posture, our gestures, our tone of voice.
All of it.
All of it contributes to how people perceive us.
It's like a whole other layer of communication.
Yeah, and sometimes our body language can even contradict what we're saying.
Absolutely. Like, think about those times when you've said, "I'm fine," but your shoulders are slumped and you're avoiding eye contact.
Yeah.
Your body is telling a different story.
Totally. So being aware of our body language and making sure that it aligns with our intended message is so important.
It's about congruence, right?
Yeah, like we want to make sure that our non-verbal cues are reinforcing our words.
Not contradicting them.
Exactly. And the book touched on this by emphasizing the importance of an open and approachable posture.
Avoiding those closed-off stances.
Yeah, so not crossing your arms, not hunching over.
Stand up straight, make eye contact.
Yeah, it's about conveying confidence.
And receptiveness.
Yeah, making the other person feel comfortable.
Like you're open to what they have to say.
Right, but it's not just about what we project, right?
Right.
It's also about how we interpret the nonverbal cues of others.
That's where active listening comes in again.
Yeah, paying attention to those subtle signals.
Like, are they leaning in? Are they making eye contact?
Are they nodding?
Are they fidgeting? Are they looking away? All of those cues can give us valuable information.
About how our message is being received.
Exactly.
Yeah? So we can adjust our approach.
In real time.
Yeah, it's about reading the room.
Sensing the energy.
And adapting your communication style to create a more genuine connection.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think this ties back to emotional intelligence.
Which we've been talking about all day.
Yeah, being able to recognize and understand the emotions behind those nonverbal signals.
Yeah, it's so important.
Like if someone is displaying signs of anger or frustration through their body language, we need to be able to pick up on that and respond accordingly.
Maybe acknowledge their emotions, offer support.
Yeah.
Adjust your communication style.
Yeah, it's about being sensitive to those emotional undercurrents.
And navigating them with grace.
Let's focus in on one specific nonverbal cue.
Okay.
That can be particularly impactful.
Right.
Eye contact.
Oh, eye contact.
Yeah. It's so powerful.
It is. It can convey so much.
Yeah, confidence, connection, trustworthiness.
But it can also be intimidating.
Yeah, if it's not used appropriately.
Yeah, too much eye contact can be really off-putting.
Yeah, so it's about finding that sweet spot.
That balance.
The natural rhythm.
Yeah, it's like a dance. You make eye contact, you hold it for a moment, you break the gaze, and then you repeat.
It's about finding that rhythm that feels authentic and engaging.
And it's important to remember that different cultures have different norms.
Oh, yeah.
Around eye contact.
Yeah.
What's considered polite in one culture might be considered rude in another.
So we had to be sensitive to those cultural nuances.
Especially when we're communicating across cultures.
Okay, let's shift back to storytelling.
Back to stories.
We've talked about the power of stories, the purpose of stories, the different types of stories.
Yeah.
We've talked about personal anecdotes. But I want to highlight a specific category of story that I think can be particularly impactful.
Okay, tell me more.
Stories of overcoming challenges.
So those are my favorite.
I think they resonate so deeply with audiences.
They do, because we all face challenges.
Yeah.
We all know what it's like to struggle, to face adversity, and to come out stronger on the other side.
And those stories remind us that we're not alone.
Exactly. That even when things are tough, there's hope.
Think about some of the most captivating movies, books, speeches.
Yeah, they often revolve around a character who's overcoming
some impossible obstacle.
Some seemingly insurmountable obstacle.
And when we share those stories, it's important to focus not just on the challenge itself, but on the lessons learned.
The growth that came out of it.
Yeah, it's not just about the what. It's about the so what.
What did you learn from this experience?
Did you change?
How did you grow?
What did you learn about yourself?
And by framing those stories in that way, we can really transform them from just anecdotes into...
Powerful tools for growth and inspiration.
I love that.
All right, so we've talked about overcoming challenges, but what about difficult conversations in general?
Oh, yeah, those are inevitable.
We all have to have them at some point.
Whether it's addressing a conflict with a colleague, giving difficult feedback, having a tough conversation with a loved one. And while the book doesn't specifically address difficult conversations, a lot of the principles still apply.
Like what?
Well, for example, clarity is paramount.
So you need to be clear about your message.
Avoid ambiguity.
Yeah.
Don't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
Be direct, but not aggressive.
Okay, so choose your words carefully.
Very carefully. And emotional intelligence is so important in those situations.
Absolutely. Being able to manage your own emotions and being sensitive to the emotions of the other person.
It can make all the difference.
It can really help keep the conversation calm and productive.
It's about listening empathetically, acknowledging their perspective, and looking for common ground.
Yeah, and sometimes just acknowledging the other person's feelings can go a long way.
It can really help to de-escalate things.
And one technique that can be really helpful in these situations is the use of I statements.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that before.
We did, but it's worth repeating because it's so effective.
It really is. Remind us what they are.
So instead of saying you're always late, you could say, I feel frustrated when I have to wait.
It takes the blame out of it.
It does. It shifts the focus from blame to your own experience.
Yeah, and it can also be helpful for setting boundaries and communicating your needs in a way that's clear and assertive.
I like that.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about confident communication in the digital age.
Okay.
You know, we live in a world that's saturated with emails, text messages, social media posts.
Online articles, it's a lot.
It is. And so being able to write effectively has never been more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the same principles that we've been talking about apply to writing.
They do. Like, clarity is crucial.
Your writing should be easy to understand.
Avoid jargon. Avoid unnecessarily complex language.
Keep it simple.
Concision is also key.
Get to the point.
People have short attention spans, so don't bury the lead.
Yeah, and don't forget about tone.
Oh, yeah. Tone is so important in writing.
It is. Just like with spoken communication, your tone of voice can really come through in your writing.
It can, so choose your words carefully.
Yeah, to convey the right feeling.
Whether it's professional, friendly, persuasive.
Yeah, and be mindful of your audience.
Who are you writing to?
Yeah, what's their level of understanding?
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about persuasion for a minute.
Okay, persuasion, that's a good one.
It's a valuable skill.
It is. It's the art of influencing others to see your point of view or to take a desired action.
And while the book didn't explicitly focus on persuasion,
Right.
a lot of the principles can be applied.
They can, like building rapport, establishing credibility.
Yeah, people are more likely to be persuaded by someone they trust and respect.
Exactly.
And that trust can be built through clear communication, active listening, empathy.
Showing that you understand their perspective.
Yeah.
Showing that you genuinely care about their needs.
That's so important.
It is.
And we talked about storytelling.
Oh, yeah. Stories are so powerful.
A well-told story can be very persuasive.
Because it evokes emotion, it makes your message more memorable.
And when you're crafting a persuasive argument, it's important to appeal to both logic and emotion.
Give them the facts and the data, but also make them feel something.
Connect with them on that emotional level.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive on confident communication.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have the 10 principles, bonus insights, authenticity, nonverbal cues, silence.
Yeah, it's been a really insightful journey.
It has, but before we wrap up,
Okay.
I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Ooh, I like that. Hit us with it.
Imagine confident communication were a superpower.
Okay.
What would you use it to achieve?
I love that question.
Yeah, it really gets you thinking.
It does. It makes you think about all the different ways these techniques and principles could actually be applied in real life.
And how it could change things for you.
Yeah, like if you could truly master confident communication, how would that change your life?
Your relationships, your career.
Would you use it to to inspire your team,
To lead with more impact.
to have those tough conversations with your loved ones,
To finally nail that job interview.
to pitch that game-changing idea.
To advocate for a cause you're passionate about.
Yeah, like the possibilities are endless.
They really are. It's exciting to think about.
It is. So to our listeners, take a moment and really think about that question.
What would you do with the superpower of confident communication?
And remember, you don't have to make some massive leap
Right.
to see results.
Even small improvements in your communication can make a big difference.
It's a journey.
Not a destination.
Yeah. So keep practicing, keep experimenting.
Keep learning.
And never underestimate the power of connecting with others in a meaningful and authentic way.
That's what it's all about.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.